Why don't you have the money that you want? Why isn't your business making the money that you want it to make? It's not your strategy. It's the deeper decision that you've made that's underneath it all, which is I'm not allowed to have what I want. You can build a funnel. You can post the content online. You can run a launch. You can even feel aligned when you're doing it. But if there's this quiet pattern deep inside your system that says, I'm only allowed to receive when I've earned it, or I'll finally be worthy when that money hits my bank account, then it doesn't matter how good your strategy is. Right? When you're carrying those underlying beliefs, the money may come, but it's going to come with conditions, like a huge effort of time or some other resource is going to be required of you in spades. Or the money will come and then it will go. It'll come and then it won't show up again. Hey, beautiful souls. I am Jennifer Bloome, Soul Abundance Guide, and I help spiritually savvy business owners unearth the deeper money stories and energetic patterns that are keeping them from receiving the abundance that they know that they're meant for. And that abundance isn't just about income. It's about income along with more joy, more space, more freedom. And today's conversation is all about one of those, it's a sneaky and yet sabotaging block that I see a lot in this work. And that is worthiness leaks. Worthiness leaks are the unconscious ways that we drain our capacity to hold wealth. Now, this is the second episode in my Rewiring Receiving series. And today we're going to talk about what worthiness leaks actually look like in your day-to-day money relationship. We are going to talk about the hidden decision that many people have made that sounds like, I'll be worthy when I earn it. And we're going to talk about how to shift into a completely new reality where worthiness isn't something that you have to earn. It's something that you reclaim. My friend, this is deep work. This is sacred work. And if you've been stuck in the pattern of money showing up inconsistently or not at all, you're in the right place. And let's dive in. Okay. Worthiness leaks don't show up like great big giant red flags. Worthiness leaks show up in subtle, everyday ways, particularly in how you give, how you ask for what you want, and how you price. One big clue as to whether you have worthiness leaks or not is if you place conditions on receiving what you want. And let me give you some examples of that. The first examples I want to give you are of everyday language that you might find yourself saying that will expose these underlying leaks. And then we're going to talk about how they might show up in your business. So listen to a couple of these examples, and I'm curious if you recognize yourself in them. So have you said things like, I have a client who was talking to me about her daughter. We were kind of doing a little chit chat at the beginning of a session. And she talked about how her daughter had just gotten this big promotion, and she was so proud of her daughter for a really good reason. And then she went on to say, "Oh, she's just worked so hard for this. She's put in so many long days and long hours, and she's finally getting rewarded with that promotion." Another way you might hear a worthiness leak is if you say something like, "I am so happy for this person. They've been through so much. It's so good to see them finally catching a break and getting what they deserve." Right? You hear that deserving? Like there's something that had to be earned in order to get something else. Or they've been putting in all of the work but not getting the outcome that you think should happen because, oh, I put in all the work, I'm not getting what I want. I've earned it, right? Can also sound something like, "Ah, I can't believe that person. She's got that big, beautiful house. It's like she's been handed things all her life." Or have you found yourself saying, "You know, you're going to appreciate something more if you've worked hard for it. If you've got some skin in the game, that's when you're going to appreciate it. I don't want to be given anything I haven't earned." And, these things come to us. We're going to spend more time talking about this in a moment, but these things come to us in so many different ways. I was watching a show on Netflix yesterday, and this character, she'd had something traumatic happen and she'd lost her place to live. And so this other character gifted her a place to stay. And the character who'd been through all of the trauma was like, "Oh, no, I can't accept this. I earn my room and board. You've got to give me some work for this." Right? So just take a moment and notice how these are landing with you. Do you recognize yourself in any of those? It's interesting. I still catch myself occasionally saying things like this. Really, a lot of times when it comes to my kids, "Oh, I'm so proud of them. They've been working so hard. They've been, putting in all this effort." I think that a lot of the worthiness origin comes from how it relates to being seen and recognized. But of course, this isn't all black and white. There is some truth to feeling more appreciation of something when you've had a hand in its creation, right? If I'm eating a salad and I've grown all the lettuce and the cucumbers and the beans and the tomatoes, it's going to mean more to me than something if I'm sitting in a restaurant and somebody hands me a salad. Or let's say that I've built this desk that I'm sitting at. It's going to mean something more to me than this, where did I get it from IKEA? I don't even remember, right? So we have to tease a few things apart here. To me, worthiness leaks, the ones that impact your ability to receive money, are more about the effort and the struggle and the have to and the slogging through that we expect to have to do in order to earn what we receive. Excuse me. Let's get a little bit of water here. So when we're in that place of having to push and do hard things in order to earn, when we start applying that to our business, we tend to fall into certain patterns. So for example, we might slip into an undercharging pattern, pricing what we offer based on what we think people will pay instead of what your work is worth. We assume that lowest common denominator, like what will the person who will pay the least pay? That's also about our ability, if we are in this space of believing that my worth is based on what I earn, and I'm not consistently earning what I want, then my worth must be lower. Therefore, I can only charge so much. Okay? So that's one way you might have a worthiness leak impacting your bottom line in your business. Another way that might show up is offering extra time to clients, consistently going over on your sessions, offering bonus sessions to packages, right? And it's interesting. I remember this super clearly. This is a number of years ago. I was offering a package when I was doing my fertility work, and I had a mentor at the time who told me, you absolutely cannot charge what you're charging for that package. You need to up it by at least 25%. And it was a 3-month package, and I was offering it for a particular price. And I made the commitment, okay, I'm going to up the amount that I am charging for that particular package of work. Well, what I found myself doing was, yes, I committed to that price, but I added a month to the whole package. So instead of it being a 3-month long container, it was a 4-month long container. So I was charging more, the dollar amount was more, but I extended the length of time I was working with people. So it didn't change anything, right? Yes, I changed the dollar amount, but I was still giving the same amount. So when you're not holding your worth, you could end up overgiving, right? That could be a sign that you have a worthiness leak. Another way in business that you might notice that you have a worthiness leak is self-abandonment when it comes to sales. So not asking for the sale, apologizing for the price, offering a discount before somebody has even had a chance to say yes or no to you. Maybe you even avoid visibility so you don't seem like you're asking for too much that you haven't already earned. Right? If you're right, and I think a lot of us in the more service-based industries, there's some real guilt attaching a price to a transformation. What's that worth? It goes along. I have this theory that bras and underwear should be free. We all need them, right? They should be free. And I say that rather tongue in cheek, but when it comes to the spiritual work, or when it comes to, if your particular business isn't a 1-for-1, meaning you're not teaching somebody a modality that they're going to go out and earn money from, right? It can feel a little bit funky attaching money to that transformation. Because the reality is, if you are helping somebody transform, it's actually priceless, right? There is no real dollar amount. If I'm able to help you learn how to receive nurturing, receive compliments, receive money, receive more freedom, receive more ease, what's that worth to you? It almost seems ridiculous to put a price on it because there's no price that's equal to it. It's priceless, literally priceless. So if something is priceless, how do you actually put a price tag to it? Okay. That is something that is another aspect of these worthiness leaks. Okay. Now, I want you to really understand that the undercharging or the overgiving or the shrinking, whatever it is, these aren't just aspects of your personality. They're not a personality quirk. It's not about because I'm an introvert. It's not because I don't like talking, right? They're evidence of that deeper decision that I have to earn the right to receive. When we have this belief, this is how we present our requests out to the universe, right? Whatever belief you have, you impress that on the universal goo, And so if you are impressing out on the universal goo that you have to go through hardship or struggle or prove something in order to receive, the universe says, okay, I can do that. And then you receive back experiences that create what you're believing. So that is a quick and dirty conversation about what worthiness leaks look like. Let's take some time to talk about where they come from. Okay. Let's talk about where that belief sits at the core of you and why it's time to release it. So many brilliant, heart-led people are carrying a contract that they never meant to sign. Once I work enough, serve enough, prove enough, then I will allow to receive. I'll allow myself to receive. I will be allowed to receive. And the core of this belief usually forms in childhood, right? I have to be helpful to be loved. I have to achieve to be safe. We often learn as young kiddos that we have to earn love. We have to do our chores. We have to behave in the right way. We have to give the right answer in class to get an A. All of those things bring positive attention from a teacher or a parent. And it's often innocuous. It's not, this is not as if somebody has set out to sabotage you. You know, anyone who has been a parent or a parent figure, who's been an auntie or an uncle and has taken care of a kid, no matter how conscious you are, you've needed a quiet moment and you've offered some sort of special reward for 5 minutes of peace. I have 3 kids and I love them with my whole heart. They're all adults now. But I know, I can remember times when I just needed that 30 minutes to myself, right? So if y'all can hang out here in this room together, let's pop in a video, right? And when they gave me that 30 minutes, they sat and they did the thing. Afterwards, it was like, oh, that was fantastic. Thanks, you guys, right? Whatever. It's not malicious. You're doing the best you can in the moment. And you can see how it starts to build an earning mentality. And it's accidental, right? Again, nobody intentionally sets out to build these beliefs in a kiddo, right? Your parents didn't set out to instill this. They were doing the best they could. And it's not about blame. All right, I want to be clear here. When we start talking about beliefs, it is never about blame. And it's not about passing off responsibility to somebody else. It's about understanding how a pattern started. So they were doing the best they could, and it created patterns and stories that you continue to follow as an adult, even though you don't ever remember putting them into place. Right? So it's no wonder there's all of this going on behind the scenes. It's no wonder that by the time we step into entrepreneurship, that this deep-rooted pattern of needing to earn attention, earn love, earn what we receive has been turned into the invisible rule. I can receive, but only after I've proven myself. And so in business, where success is measured in dollars, that turns into my income reflects my worth. Now, here's where it gets sneaky. Even when your launches go well, even when your clients say yes, even when the money does come in, If this belief is part of you, then the money doesn't stay. You might hit a record-breaking month and then you have 2 months of struggle. Or you land 5 new clients and all of a sudden your energy collapses and you can't even imagine doing it all over again. This is the feast or famine cycle that so many entrepreneurs find themselves in. And it's not about laziness. It's not a broken strategy, right? It comes from that underlying subconscious belief, I'll be worthy when I earn it. If by your internal standards, you haven't earned enough, then your system isn't going to let the money stick. And I think we need to talk a little bit about those internal standards. If this is resonating with you, if you're saying, yep, tick that box, yep, that resonates, yep, you want to ask yourself the question, what's enough? How much do I have to do to get what I want? How much do I have to do to deserve something? How much do I have to do to earn it? And the thing is, there is no number. There is no exact answer to that question. It usually sounds something like more. If I don't have what I want, I have to do more. Oh, I did get what I wanted, but it's not going to stick around, so I need to do more. Right? It's ambiguous. It's amorphous because it isn't real. Meaning, there is no book you can pull off the shelf and say, yep, if I put in 10 hours of action in my business, then I can receive $5,000. Right? There's no rule book like that. The internal rule is just there with its bullhorn saying, you got to do something to earn and deserve. Right? Because there's that part of you that still believes I'm not allowed to have what I truly want unless I've paid the price. And this is not a mindset flaw. This is not something that you fix with 20 affirmations or tweaking a morning routine. This is a subconscious rule that you've created based on a misunderstanding of how your worth is determined. And if it's going to change, meaning if your external is going to change, you have to create a new belief from a brand new perspective. Right? Einstein, you cannot change a problem at the level at which it was created. We need something brand new to be able to come in and be able to offer to your brain a new rule. Yes, we want to work on releasing the old rule, but you have to have something to replace it with. I find the most effective way to change these rules around earning and receiving is to do it from the soul level. This is the misunderstanding that we've had. We have focused on the human perspective, the human experience, which was work really hard, get a good grade, get a gold star, get attention from the teacher, bring that report card home and get praise from your parents. Or you did all the chores without being asked and you got an attaboy, attagirl from your parent. Or you did all of these things and you didn't get yelled at. That's as much of a belief builder, right? If I do all the things, then I won't get the pain. right? So that's the human perspective. When we look at it from a soul perspective, you get a brand new way of understanding about worthiness. So here's the truth. And this is something that you are a drop of the divine ocean. There is a part of you that already knows this. Right? Your worth was never meant to be earned. It was just meant to be lived. It was meant to be embodied. You were born worthy of love, worthy of support, worthy of receiving with ease, worthy, period. The divine didn't assign you a price tag. Right? There is no price tag that you have to meet before you're allowed joy or pleasure or wealth. Your worth is a spiritual truth. Worth has nothing to do with numbers or milestones or metrics. Now, that gets to be a little bit scary because that means that everybody has that. Even the people that you don't think are living the kinds of lives that should give them what they want in return. Sometimes it's really nice to think, I have to have enough good deeds in order to get what I want, because that means the people that I think are out there doing the bad deeds won't get what they want. So I'm going to invite you to notice if anything like that is coming up. And that's something well, let's put a pin in it. But notice that. Because what I want is your focus to be here on you. Right? I want you to connect with that part of you that remembers that truth. The good news about all of this is that you don't have to wait for the next time to do a launch or the next big moment in your business or the next big moment in your day-to-day life to feel worthy. Your next level of receiving doesn't begin when the money shows up. It begins the moment you decide to step back into your inherent value. So let's talk about what that looks like in practice, right? Especially when your worthiness is leaking energy and time and your money right now without you noticing, right? Here's something to consider. You would never look at God, universe, goddess, nature, source, whatever your name is for that which is bigger than you, right? You would never, ever look at God and say, so, hey, God, do you feel worthy today? Did you do something to earn your value today? What did you create today that leaves you feeling a little bit like God? It's absolutely absurd. And yet, how often do we turn that same question inward? You know, I have the privilege of working with several people who are in their 7th and 8th decade on this planet. And it never ceases to amaze me how ingrained it is to ask ourselves, what have you done today? Right? Here, these two women are just powerhouses, amazing careers. They're on the other side of it. And yet there's still that part of them that won't let themselves rest because they haven't earned it. They haven't done enough. I mean, isn't it time? Right? We turn on ourselves so often. We are so hard on ourselves, right? We override our own divine truth in the name of effort. We forget that worthiness was never, ever, ever something to earn. Worthiness is something for you to remember, to embody in a new way. If every person on this planet lived from a place of inherent worthiness, it would change the world. This goes back to that point that I was saying about, we get a little bit squirrely, right? When we think about, we don't have to earn worth. Well, then that means everybody's just going to be lazy. That means that nobody's going to do anything. I completely disagree. If we all come from our own inherent sense of worthiness, there are no holes inside of us to try to fill up. We get in trouble when we try to fill those holes in ways that we were never meant to fill them, right? We can't fill a worthiness hole with enough money. We can't fill a worthiness hole with enough power. We can't fill a worthiness hole with enough effort. We can't fill our own worthiness hole with power over somebody else. It never works. That doesn't stop us from trying. But if every single person on this planet knew, based on their vertical connection with the divine, that they too were a drop of the divine, they too were inherently worthy, we would have so much more peace on the planet. Because then when we're acting from our inherent worth, we're inherently kind. We treat other people as if they are also inherently worthy. There's no power over. There's no need for power over, because I'm worthy, you're worthy. We each allow each other to live our lives, our own individual choices. Okay. Let me offer you this. Worthiness is your original frequency. It's what you came into this world with. It's that part of who you are in connection with the divine. When you think about the divine as an ocean and you are that drop of the divine, your worthiness is part of that connector. Okay, so it's what you came into this world with. Before anyone asked you to prove yourself or perform or perfect yourself or be something for them. So before you were handed any golden stars, before you were working on your grades, before you had a belief that love and safety had to be earned, right? Receiving is much more than a skill to learn so that you can have money coming through your business. I mean, yes, it will help, but it's a spiritual practice. Receiving asks you to come back to your divine truth and say, I'm worthy, not because of what I've done, but because I am a soul on this planet. And the moment you start to embody that, money moves. Support shows up for you in business. Clients say yes. Opportunities seem to land out of nowhere. That feeling of, oh, it just came out of the blue. Had this really amazing phone call. I had this really amazing email come in today. And it's happening not because you hustled harder, but because the universe is always responding to the frequency you hold. And when you're holding worthiness as your baseline state, abundance can land, right? You create this wide open container, and it's not leaky. It's not a vessel that has a lot of cracks in it, but it's a clear, grounded presence within you that says, I'm allowed to have what I desire, and I'm ready to receive it. So let's experience that for a moment. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. If it feels safe, if it doesn't feel safe, just soften your gaze. Notice your breath coming in and out of your body. I'm going to ask you to bring your awareness to your heart center, right here in the center of your chest. And ask divine intelligence to connect you with the part of you that already knows I'm worthy. Not because of what I've done, but because I am a soul on this planet. And as you drop into that space, as you make that connection, let's ask a question. What would I allow if I deeply trusted I was already worthy? What would I allow if I deeply trusted my worthiness? And I'm going to invite you to let that question resonate through your whole body and just notice what comes up. Don't edit anything. Just let it rise to the surface. You can do some journaling about it later. But in this moment, let your soul show you what is truly possible. Okay. Go ahead and thank your body, thank your heart center, thank the source, divine, God, goddess, nature for showing you that answer, and allow yourself to come on back. And I'm going to invite you to remember that worthiness has no finish line. It's a frequency. And every time you return to that frequency, the more you can hold that frequency, the more you step into your power in a new way, the more you invite yourself to receive what you want in a brand new way. So in closing, what I want to say to you is, beautiful, beautiful soul, you don't have to earn your worth or prove your value. You are worthy. And when you stop abandoning that truth, you'll find that money no longer needs to prove anything either. Receiving doesn't prove anything. Money simply shows up. It shows up because you're aligned, you're open, and you're ready to receive. It's like standing out in the sunshine and palms up, feeling the sun on your face, feeling the wind against every part of your skin that's out and open, having your palms open, having no expectation about what's going to drop in, simply enjoying, receiving, and knowing that so much more is on its way. And I'm going to invite you to do some deeper inquiry. I'm going to invite you to do some journaling around the question we just asked, which is, what would I allow if I deeply trusted I was already worthy? And as you do that, really feel that solid container you become, right? Worthiness, when you know your worth, regardless, uh, separate from anything else in life, you create this amazingly solid container that can be filled, and it can stay, and it can be filled more, and it's ever expanding. It's like Hermione Granger's purse, right? If you've read the Harry Potter, right? It's just ever expanding. So I'm going to invite you to play with that, and I would love to hear your experiences. What's coming up for you? What do you notice? Where are you hearing yeah buts? Yeah, that's all great, Jennifer, but I want to know about that. Because when I hear those, I can do another conversation where we address them. I'd love to know your experience. I'd love to know what comes up in your journaling. Drop a comment, let me know. And if this conversation lit something up in you, make sure to hit subscribe and join us next week. Join me next week for episode 3 of Receiving Rewired. We're going to talk about why manifesting is falling flat for you and what you can do to turn that around. And then in the final episode of Receiving Rewired, we're going to talk about literally changing the internal architecture of your being so that you can receive in a brand new way. Lots of good, juicy stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I'm really hoping you join us. All right. And until then, I wish each and every one of you prosperous blessings, and I'll talk to you soon.